at the Red Cross office at 600 North George Street in Goldsboro. And we're here with the IRV. And we're also here with Kimberly Barrier, who is the, what are you now? You keep moving up in ranks, Kimberly.
I am the Business Operations Specialist for the region.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Business Operations Specialist for the region. And you cover, this Red Cross office covers 3 counties, is that right?
That is correct, yes. Wayne, Lenoir, and Greene.
Wayne, Lenoir, and Greene County. And we're here beside the IRV. That's an ERV. What does that mean? Emergency
Response Vehicle.
And this is what is used when we're called upon out of this office to help earthquakes, fires, tornado damage, hurricanes, anything like that. And we have people going, floods. Yes. We have people going all over the country.
Yes.
These are specially trained people from right here in Wayne County.
Yes.
Like Roberto Menendez.
Yes. He just left last week to go to Houston.
He's in Houston now, or he's somewhere in South Texas.
Somewhere in South Texas.
Okay, so how does that work? People who want to volunteer for the Red Cross, and this is all volunteer work.
Correct.
When they go to volunteer for issues such as flooding, such as what's going on now in Texas, how do you do that? Where do you start with that? Do you say, look, I'm a volunteer and I want to go, I'm free to go around the country to help people?
Yes. There's 2 things about every disaster and non-disaster. There's gray sky and there's blue sky. Right now in Houston, we're in gray sky, so they're in the middle of the storm. Right now in Wayne County, we're in blue sky.
Yeah, we are.
However, we share a lot of the same resources, and one of the resources we share is called Volunteer Connection, which is how we recruit and train all of our volunteers and keep track of them. Okay. So, like, for example, on a blue sky day, rather a month, we might get 2,000 applications in on Volunteer Connection. About 2,000 in a month.
At what?
Nationwide.
Oh, okay. Whew. Okay.
I know, right? I'm trying to set the scale here for what's happening in Texas, which is in one day we got 18,000 applications through Volunteer Connection.
Really?
In one day.
In one day, 18,000.
So, guess what happened? Guess what happened to the system?
It broke down.
It wasn't happy. So normally we would say go to Volunteer Connection, go to RedCross.org and fill out an application. Can't do that right now because the system is completely overwhelmed.
Wow.
So we are figuring out what parts of the system does work so that we can train those volunteers and get them deployed. We are doing that as we speak.
As we speak. So, and I'm sure that there are people in Wayne County who say, hey, I've got a lot of free time on my hand. These people are in need. I want to volunteer. I want to go to Texas and help. What do I have to do?
So during Blue Sky, we need you to update your Volunteer Connection information on a regular basis so that when gray sky does happen, we're prepared. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is part of Volunteer Connection allows you to put in your availability and keep track of what you're trained in. So we want to send volunteers, because obviously we need volunteers all the time, but we want to send trained volunteers. Exactly. And Volunteer Connection is how we do that, and it's really important to keep up with Volunteer Connection during Blue Sky.
Volunteer Connection is at volunteerconnection.org? Just go to Red Cross.
RedCross.org page.
RedCross.org, okay. And then you click on, put in your zip code, and they'll say, okay, okay. That's how.
Yep. Put in your zip code. You'll go through the application process. The application process does include a background check.
It does.
It does.
Excellent.
Because we want to make sure that when we are deploying volunteers that we're doing it in a safe manner.
Exactly. All right. Now, what about somebody who says, you know, I've got a lot of time on my hands. I'm a good guy. Do a background check. But I want to go to Houston, but I'm not sure how I can help. Do you still have room for this person?
Yes. There's a couple of things. First of all, deployment is 2 weeks. So
they have to be gone for 2 weeks?
Yes, you have to have availability of at least 2 weeks.
Okay.
If you want to stay longer than that, we could probably arrange, but 2 weeks is the minimum.
Minimum 2 weeks.
Right. Second thing is you have to be in fairly good health, physically, because the work is long and arduous. It's the situation in Texas right now. It's not going to get any better anytime soon, so you have to be in really good shape before you go.
I am sure you do.
Both, physically as well as like
this is not a cakewalk. This is hard work.
It is not. It is very intense work.
Okay. Once they come in and talk to you and they say, I want to volunteer, do they have to wait until the system is back up and running, or can you put them to work right away?
Yes and no. So I know, right? All of our chapters
Right.
in Eastern North Carolina, we have 5 chapters: Raleigh, Fayetteville, Wilmington, Greenville. So all of the chapters are scheduling training that's called Just in Time. We have 2 sessions scheduled in Goldsboro, right here at 600 North George Street. One tomorrow from 10 to 3.
Okay, now that would be
Thursday the 31st.
Thursday, August 31st. Now, when this shows, it may be after that. So when's the second one?
Tuesday the 6th. What day is I'm sorry. What day is the 5th? I wrote it down. 5th. I'm sorry. Tuesday the 5th is the next one.
So this may be running after the 30th. So when is the one after the 30th? When's the next one?
Tuesday, September 5th.
Tuesday, September 5th.
Also at the George Street office.
Now, now is this a 2-part training course, or is this a 1-part on the 30th?
Pick one day.
Pick one day.
Pick either or.
So, okay, so you either come on the 30th and or you come on the 5th. Can you come to both of them?
Sure, it'll be the same information, but
Okay.
it's an opportunity for our disaster program specialists to answer questions about volunteering, getting trained, and deploying.
Okay, now, what kind of training do you have to have in order to come to both of these? Do you have to have anything at all, or
Show up.
just show up?
Do not
just be
have to
there?
have any training.
Just have 2 weeks
Do
available.
not- exactly, and be in good health.
And be in good health. Be in good health, have 2 weeks available. Now, expenses to get there. How do you do that?
So we have mission cards for our volunteers. Our mission cards have a certain amount of money put on them. They're just like an ATM card. They're accepted in all places that ATM cards would be accepted in. So we have mission cards that we give our volunteers so they can travel.
So they don't really have to pull any money out of their own pocket in order to
They
volunteer?
shouldn't have to, no.
Okay. That'll get them there. And then once they're there, how does that work? Once they're there, where do they stay? What do they eat?
So depending on where we are in the midst of the storm,
Right.
a lot of our volunteers are going to end up in staff shelters because that's really the only thing that's available right now. That means a cot and a blanket in a gym or a fellowship hall of a church.
Stressing the point, again, this is not a
Got to
cakewalk.
be in good physical
You got to be in
condition.
good shape.
Yep.
You got to expect that this is going to be roughing it. It's going to be tough. But you're helping all these people out. You need help.
Gosh.
They need help down there.
They need the basics. They need safe shelter and food.
Shelter and food. With over 4 feet of rain in just such a short amount of time, you know that these people are hurting. You see people walking in chest-high water.
Yeah.
This is terrible, the situation.
It's scary.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had it bad here in Wayne County. We've had it really, really bad. People have died from the floods here, but we have not had 4 feet of rain.
Right. So the important factor to stress there is that yes, the situation is critical. We are not going to send volunteers into an area that is not safe
Right.
because
Good
we
point.
can't put more people in harm's way. So we're not going to send people, staff, volunteers. We're not going to send people into an area that's not safe. For example, when an IRV leaves an area to respond to a disaster, so 2 of our IRVs left Eastern North Carolina last week. They had 2 drivers. We're not going to send a vehicle with just one person. So they're sending 2 people. So that's 4 people and 2 IRVs that are headed to Texas.
Right.
And there will always be 2 people in an IRV. We're never going to send somebody out in an IRV by themselves.
So you're not going to send them into harm's way, of course.
We're not going to do that.
And if they choose to differ from that practice, that's up to them.
All of our systems of checks and balances, that's not
Once they're there,
possible.
they're supervised. They have
Yes.
somebody to whom they answer.
Yes. There is a hierarchy to our disaster organization. We have shelter managers, we have shelter supervisors. They work shifts just like, if you were to go to work, you'd work a shift and then you have a relief. I mean, we want to make sure that our volunteers get some downtime. You can't
So
you can't do sheltering 24/7 as much as you might like to.
Well, as much as you like, but you're there as a team. You're working with other
Exactly.
people, and you're supervised. You're
Yes.
told what to do, what needs to be done, and then you do it. You don't go out on your own.
No.
No. Okay.
Highly
so
discouraged.
highly discouraged because it's dangerous.
It's not safe.
Okay. Now we're at the end of August now, and this is going to be a while before it's cleaned up. So if someone is there for 2 weeks and they decide, well, I've got a lot more time on my hand, how long can they stay?
Well, again, it's going to depend on how much downtime they've actually had during that 2 weeks because we want to make sure that our volunteers are well rested and taken care of. It depends on how many nights they've had to stay in a shelter as opposed to maybe a hotel. At some point when the water has receded and businesses start to open and be repaired, we do try to utilize hotels some. That's an expense, so we kind of have to, we have to watch it.
Right.
So again, it's too many variables to really be able to say. You can say another 2 weeks. No, you really need to go home.
Yeah, we're still in the early days here.
Still early stages.
Yeah, but the people are hurting. They need help right now. So if you can help, the number here is 919-735-7201. Is that the number they call? 735-7201?
Yes, they can call,
Or
people can call that number.
What would be a better way to volunteer, even though the system's down? Is there a better way?
We need volunteers all the time.
Yeah,
so
365.
All the time.
All year long.
And not just in disaster services. You know, we also have a need for blood donors. You know, that's the other critical piece of what's going on in Texas is when all of it's underwater, it's really hard to collect blood.
It is hard to collect blood.
In fact, it's impossible. So
blood is needed right now.
It is. We were already in an urgent need for blood and platelets. Yeah. So what the American Red Cross did last week, prior to the storm, is we moved blood product closer to Houston and Dallas to make sure that hospitals in those areas would have blood ready. Mm-hmm. So now it's time to replenish what we sent last week.
Right.
So there's always a need for more blood donors to come in. Go to redcrossblood.org, download the app. Our apps are tremendously helpful, not just in finding blood drives, but also in finding your loved ones who are in a shelter. If they register at the Safe and Well, they can be found on the app. We had over 14 million hits on our app last Thursday.
Really?
14 million hits on our app, disaster app, in one day. That surpassed Superstorm Sandy.
That's amazing. That did surpass Sandy.
It did surpass Sandy. I think we had like 6 or 8 million for Sandy. So our apps are really helpful and handy. If you've had to evacuate from your home, your cell phone might be the one thing you have. Until the battery dies, use the apps.
Okay. People are in need of help. A lot to think about. Now, that's redcrossblood.org, and you can download the app from that?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Or you can go to the Google Play Store or the Apple Store.
Okay.
They're free.
Redcrossblood.org. Now, I can't make it to Houston. I've got a job. I've got a family. I've got this. I've got that. I want to help. What can I do?
There's always financial donations.
And how do they make a financial donation?
So I'm going to make sure I'm going to read my writing here.
We're reading verbatim her writing here.
Get it right.
Who can can you read your writing? I can't read your.
You can text the word Harvey to 90999 and make a $10 donation.
Harvey, 90999.
Yes. Now, once redcross.org kind of calms down and once 800 Red Cross number kind of calms down, probably in another week, 10 days, those will also be ways that you can make donations. But right now, texting is probably the quickest, easiest way to make a donation. And again, it's an opportunity to stress that at some point, people in Houston are going to need things. They're going to need toiletry items. They're going to need clothes. They're going to get back in their house, and they're going to need bed sheets. I mean, they're going to need all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But right now, the best way to help people is to give a financial donation.
The best way to help people is to give a financial donation.
It's immediate. It doesn't require warehousing. It doesn't require transportation. It doesn't require anything. I mean, people are getting around in Houston in garbage trucks because that's the only vehicle that can navigate the streets. So trying to get a 16-wheeler into Houston, even if it has vital stuff on it, like non-perishable foods and baby formula, it's anybody's guess as to how, if and how and when right now. Yeah.
If you want to help, the best way to help, as Kimberly said, is a financial donation. So text the word Harvey to 90999.
You got it.
And that gets what?
You can make a $10 donation.
It's a $10 donation.
To the American Red Cross. It's also important to stress that...
And that goes directly to the Harvey, not just the Red Cross donation.
So there's 2 points to stress. Is that, yes, the donor intent is always what we follow with a donation, financial donation. So if the donor wants it to go to Harvey, it's going to go to Harvey. If you want it to stay in Wayne County, it'll stay in Wayne County. The donor makes that decision.
The donor makes that decision.
Blue sky, gray sky.
Regardless of any time.
Red sky, doesn't matter.
Red sky.
Doesn't matter. The other thing to stress is that the American Red Cross spends 91 cents on mission delivery. Every dollar that is donated to us, 91 cents is spent on mission delivery.
Okay. 91 cents. That helps a lot of people.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
Goes
that dollar
a
does go a long way.
Yes, it does. All right. Now, what else do we need to tell folks here about what's going on or how they can help?
Sure. If you want information, if you have family members in the Houston area and you want information, the apps are the fastest way to go. Our Red Cross app or Stay Well app is another way to go. The local chapters are not going to have access to like shelter, who's in shelters, we're not going to have access to that.
About who's in the shelter.
About who is in a
Right.
shelter. So if you're looking for your family members, the best thing to do is try to find them through the apps. Especially right now, since Red Cross Blood and RedCross.org are just all of that is just stuff.
And I'm not trying to tell people how they should be, but you and I have talked many times about this. If there is a disaster that is imminent, then you should contact a family member outside the danger area
Yes.
and say, I will call you when I get settled, and and get every member of that family to call
Yes.
grandma who's in the Smokies or in the Rockies
Yes.
somewhere and say, okay, I'm over here and they're over there. But that's how you
It
stay in
goes
contact.
along with part of our mission about being prepared. If you have an evacuation plan before the event hits, then you're much more likely to be able to establish communication and know that everybody is safe, regardless of where in the country you might be. The other really important thing is listen to officials. Listen to officials wherever you are. If there are police or fire or emergency workers telling you to evacuate or telling you to stay in the shelter, listen to the officials.
I know that if I was in the line of a Category 3 or 4 hurricane, I don't even know if I'd listen to officials. I just
You'd
wouldn't
be
have time.
gone.
I'd be
You'd
out
be
of the
out-
way.
you'd be gone.
I'd be over with Grandma
Smart.
in the Rockies somewhere.
Smart, yeah.
I mean, why wait?
Yeah.
Go.
It's just stuff. You know, I know that it's important. You know, our homes are important. I'd be devastated if I lost my home.
Sure.
But it's just stuff. At the end of the day, it's just stuff.
You
So
don't wanna
leave
put-
it and go.
You don't want to put your family or yourself in danger of losing your life.
Yeah. Or the emergency worker that's going to try to get to you if you
Exact-
don't
yeah.
evacuate. So
if you
it's-
don't evacuate,
yeah.
you're putting somebody else's life in
Yeah.
danger. And that holds true not just for Texas, but that holds true for Wayne County
That's
as well.
at all times.
We
Yeah.
are subject to hurricanes and tornadoes here and flooding.
Yeah.
So just remember that.
Excellent point. And one of the reasons why we didn't deploy our IRV
Mm-hmm.
in Goldsboro is because we have tropical storm events off of our coast in
Yes.
Wilmington.
Yes.
So in case, Harvey is consuming a lot of resources, time, and attention right now, as it should.
Right.
But we still have to pay attention to the rest.
Sure.
And we've got an extensive coastline
That's right.
in North Carolina that we have to pay attention to. So
And
that's why our IRV stayed and we rolled one out of Rocky Mountain.
You have to be prepared. Number 10 is out there wreaking havoc on our coastline. And there's another one
Yep.
further out.
So let's learn from where we are right now in Blue Sky and update our volunteer connection information.
Good.
And download those apps
Mhm.
and get our emergency evacuation plan
Right?
written down and communicated.
Kimberly Barrier is what she said she was at the beginning of this conversation. Regional something or other.
Business operations for Eastern North Carolina.
That's what I was going to say. But anyway, thank you very much. 735-7201. Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you,
Great
Wayne.
job.
Thank you.